What's up, guys? This is Six Figure Medicare Agent, and my name is Christian Brindle. Thank you so much for investing in yourself and your business today on the last day of 2019. You heard it here first. Today is December 31st, 2019. It's the last day of this decade, and I thought, what better way to close out a decade than some good old-fashioned insurance agent training for Medicare agents. And today I wanted to talk with you about something that I probably know more about than a lot of people in the business, and it's because I did it. And that is how to gain business, how to generate buzz from practically nothing. And there's really no better way to do that than to make calls over the phone. I've had a lot of agents reach out to me recently about what's the best way to do this, and is it viable in going into 2020? Is it something that can still be done? So before I get into this too much, guys, I want to preface my comments by saying a couple of things and a couple of disclaimers. Number one, do not call people for Medicare Advantage. It's highly illegal. It's against CMS regulations. Don't do it. Make sure that you're specifically making calls about Medicare supplements, and just keep in mind it's against the law to call people that are on the federal do not call list. So just wanted to preface my comments by saying those things, and let's jump right into this. For those of you who don't know, when I first came into the business, as many of you do know, I started working with my dad early on. A very, very good friend of mine who before I was in the insurance business, I was in a multi-level marketing thing. Okay, as many of you have been. I'm sure a lot of you actually got into the insurance industry because you started out in a multi-level marketing thing. A lot of people started with Primerica or one of these, insurance MLMs. I wasn't in an insurance one, but I made a very, very good friend who's still my friend today, and still works with us today. And me and him came over to work with my dad, and we got our insurance licenses. We started out. We came in, we were very, very young. I think we were both 20 when we both started. I can't remember the exact age, but we were both around that age, about 20 years old, and we did not know anything about anything, really. We were as raw and fresh as it can be, and someday I'll have him come on and do a video with me if he's willing to do so and kind of tell you about this experience a little more. But my dad told us. So my dad is somebody that built his business from the ground up. And so this was a strategy that he thought it would be a good idea for us to implement. And so what we did our first day, we came in, we did a little bit of training on products, and then our job was to make calls and set up appointments. So right from the get-go, this was how we started building our business. And for the first 3 years of my business, this is how I built a clientele. I obviously got business from referrals, recommendations, things like that, and we spent some money on leads, but I'd say probably, if I had to guess, 60 to 75% of my book of business in the first 3 years was built through over the phone, setting up appointments. Now at this point, we were making appointments to go to someone's home, okay? People that were turning 65 mostly, outside of AEP. During AEP, we had other marketing methods and things like that, but this is a great topic for you to know about, because the best market for you to work as a Medicare agent is the turning 65 market. Now this, of course, was in 2014, okay? So the longer you wait to kind of start implementing this, the harder it's going to be with technology, with more people being put on the do not call list, with their, with the saturation, I would say, of the cold call market. I mean, anytime a person is turning 65, probably within the first 9 months all the way until 3 months after they turn 65, they're getting hounded by calls, by people just like you. So I'm not going to say that making these calls is easy. It's definitely not. But I still believe it's something that's viable, and it's a good way for insurance agents that are brand new, that maybe don't have any money to spend on marketing or leads, can use to build up some kind of buzz and clientele from nothing. And it's a very, very inexpensive way to market yourself, especially if you don't have any money or means to do it anywhere else. Now, the longer we go with technology, it's going to be harder and harder to do this each year, I believe. There's a lot of insurance agents that swear by this tactic, by making calls. And They built their businesses in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, when this was really viable, when there was no caller ID, when there weren't as many people in the business, the markets weren't so saturated. So I'm not going to say it's the perfect way to build your business. I've moved out of that, and we market in various other ways now. But it's a great way to build your business from nothing to something. Me working with my dad provided me with very little in terms of, lead money, marketing, things like that. And so this was what I was given to work with. So I worked with what we had at that moment. And so this is the strategy that I was taught and that has worked for me over the years, that I think it can help you in 2020 in your business. If you're someone that's new to the business, or let's say you don't have a whole lot of capital or startup money to spend on marketing or leads, and you just need a way to generate buzz in business, this is a way to do it. And there's still people out there that hit extremely high numbers by specifically making calls. So what you guys got to do, and in my opinion, you have to come up with some kind of script. First things first, and then you have to get comfortable with the script. And if you're brand new to making calls over the phone, cold, to people that don't know you, to somebody that didn't ask for you, it's something that can be very intimidating for a lot of agents. And I know a lot of agents, probably 90% of agents in this business, in this industry, cannot make calls like this. It's very, very important that you get over yourself, you get over your own fear, you conquer it, and make sure that you're confident. What I told myself as a 20-year-old was this: no matter how mad these people get at me, no matter what happens, they're not going to jump through the phone and punch me. They're not going to find me and attack me or anything like that. I will never, ever talk to this person again. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you're professional. You don't want to lose it and snap on somebody on the phone that yells at you. If you get someone that's angry on the phone, you disconnect the call and move on to the next name. It's quite simple. Don't let yourself get emotional. When you're making calls, guys, it's a very roller coastery thing. Very up and down. Your emotions can easily get unbalanced from either positive or negative results on your calls, and you're going to have good and bad days, and sometimes it's going to seem like you're just banging your head into the wall. But if you're new to the business and this is the tactic you're using to build your business up, I think that it's something that can be very cost effective to getting yourself a book of business to that one point you can kind of grow out of it. That's kind of the goal, right? You want to get to the point where you have enough renewals coming in, you have a big enough book of business that you can grow out of it, and you can do more different kinds of marketing, social media marketing. You have more referrals coming in, just different ways of doing things. You can spend more money on leads if you're so inclined to do so. So this is the tactic that I was taught, that worked for me in the first 3 years of my business when we were making these calls. You come into the office Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday if necessary, but specifically Monday and Tuesday, and you spend that day making calls. Typically, the prime times to make calls in a day are 9 in the morning to 11 o'clock. Now, depending on what state you live in, the calling rules and laws are going to be different from state to state, so make sure you're up to speed on the laws in where you live. And in my state of Utah, where I live, the laws were this: we couldn't make a call before 9 a.m., and we couldn't make a call after 8 p.m. That was the laws here. Make sure you know the laws in your state. But from what we were doing, the prime time calling we found was anywhere between 9 in the morning to 11, or 9 to 12, something like that, and then also from 5 to 8 or 6 to 8. Now, we would make calls outside of those hours, but those were the times of the day where we absolutely could not miss, and we absolutely had to be on the phone. So make sure you're doing that. You come up with a script. And my first script went something like this. I would pick up the phone. It would ring, 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 ring. They'd pick up the phone. I'd say, "Hi, is this Linda?" I always want to make sure I'm using their first name because it builds familiarity, okay? It makes them think that they might know me. But you've got to remember, when you make a cold call, you have about 10 seconds to gain their interest and gouge their interest before they disconnect the call on you. If a very short window, you have to act quickly. So I would pick up the phone. I'd be like, "Hi, is this Linda?" They would say, "Yes, it is," or "No, it's not." If they said, "Yes, it is," I'd be like, "Hi, Linda. My name is Christian. And the reason for my call today, Linda, is because I understand that you're becoming eligible for Medicare in the next couple of months here, and I just was making a call to determine if you'd picked out a Medicare supplement plan yet. That was a very basic script, and that's basically how we started out, but it was effective. People would say, yes, I've already picked it, to which point you move into objections, be like, oh, I don't know if you might be interested in a second opinion. I'm with a local brokerage that works with all the different insurance companies, blah, 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 blah. And you'd be amazed at how many people might be open to a second opinion because they don't know if they were offered the best thing. And a lot of times they weren't. You can get in the door, you can replace it, roll out another agent. And you can come up with other scripts as you go, and you need to come up with a script that you're comfortable with that fits your personality the best. But you got to remember, you have a very short window, about 10 seconds before they disconnect the call on you. So my strategy was to come in, make sure that I was on the phone at 9 o'clock in the morning. 9 to 11 to 9 to 12 in the morning at least, and 5 to 8. But we'd also make calls outside of that. But if we had any other busy work to do, let's say customer service, people to return calls to, whatever the case might be, we'd do it outside of those prime time calling hours. And the strategy was to make sure that you have a full week of appointments. Okay? As many as you possibly could from Wednesday to Saturday. Wednesday to Saturday. You'd want to do everything you could to try to get, in my opinion, I think a good target by doing this. If this is all you're doing, you're not working any other kinds of outside leads or marketing or anything like that, you probably want to try your best to get about 10 appointments in a week. This is a numbers game, guys. So if you're getting 10 appointments in a week, let's say your conversion rate is 20%, 30%. You're going to be looking at 2 to 3 new clients a week, which in the course of a month would give you 8 to 12 a month, which is very good for a new agent. This is still possible, this is still viable, but it's getting less and less viable. So if you're thinking you're going to start doing this in 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, when you feel comfortable, you're going to work up to it, don't wait. If you're going to implement this strategy, it can be the difference of having a book of business and not having a book of business, because if you can get one solid year of prospecting this way under your belt, if you don't have a lot of funds, you don't have a lot of clients, you can write 100 apps a year, 150 apps a year, 200 apps a year just from this strategy alone. And especially if you really work it hard. Now, you have to make sure you're consistent each and every week. You're not missing, and you have to work hard, a lot of hours. This is grueling, and this is not for the faint of heart. This is not for the weak-minded agents. You have to make sure that you are mentally tough up here and that you can handle talking to people on the phone. This is grueling. I've heard it from all kinds of people. It's grueling. I'm a little bit of a freak. I always enjoyed it because I never knew what was going to happen. But it wouldn't surprise me if after 2020, I know this still works to a certain extent, maybe not as good as it did 10 years ago or 20 years ago, but you can still build and gauge interest in 2020, but who knows for how long after that. Technology is evolving at such a rapid rate that this might be borderline impossible to do in the years to come. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I hope you really got some value out of it, and I hope we were able to shed some light on kind of our tactics to this. If you'd like to see me talk about any future topics, please do me a favor. Drop it down in the comment section on what you'd like to have some training on. Like this video. Subscribe for future six-figure Medicare agent topics in this channel. I share with you tactics that I've used to build a six-figure income as a Medicare agent by the time I was 25 years old, and I'm documenting my journey to building our company, Christian Brindle Insurance Services, to a multi-million-dollar-a-year agency. Hope you have a great new year, and here's to your success in 2020. Take care.